So things seem to be heating up dramatically for the Nintendo Switch 2 as Nintendo inches closer and closer to the reveal of this system that's rumored to be in January at some point or early 2025. And we're going to break down the latest thing that someone apparently with information on the system is saying about the capabilities of the Nintendo Switch 2. But before we get into that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch RPG videos, live streams, and more as soon as they drop. Now let's go ahead and jump right into this because I saw on Twitter and overall there was a Reddit theme on that plus an actual source of where it came from. So we're going to break down everything bit by bit. And like I've stated multiple times, and one of the reasons why I wanted to cover this rumor in particular is that it really goes in line with some of the stuff that I've been hearing in addition to some of the things that other people have been saying. So there is confirmation a bit, at least people hearing it from multiple different sources. So shout outs to my man Pori over on Twitter. That's the first place that I saw this, but I'll get the breakdowns for you guys and have it up. So Pori says Nintendo Switch 2 hardware might surprise us on just how capable it will be. Now here is the Reddit thread. It says Switch 2 developer claims that, quote, the hardware is very capable. A low-key trusted developer from Installbase responded to a user claiming that Switch 2 wouldn't get AAA games and that the system would be weak, and he responded, it's not. Both Nintendo and third parties see Switch 2 AAA titles as a big potential growth driver. The hardware is very capable. He added, I'm not at all saying it'll get everything always, but I think a lot of people will be pleasantly surprised. So that's apparently coming from someone that's working on it or someone that has knowledge in the development atmosphere around it. There was a bit more of the source as well, so I'll have that up on the page so you guys can see where exactly he said it as well, not just the Reddit thread. So it's actually a thing that's happening, and it seems like it's kind of moving people over to say, okay, hold up, this Nintendo Switch 2 could be far more capable than what people are thinking. Yes, there is, or there was potentially a sentiment that the Nintendo Switch 2 wouldn't be able to handle the biggest AAA games, and it might not. I mean, maybe GTA or maybe some of these other games won't be able to run on it the way that maybe people would want, but I do feel there's a number of things that are working in the Nintendo Switch 2's favor. One, modern architecture. That is one of the biggest things that helped out the Nintendo Switch back in 2017, 2018, 2019. Get games like Doom, get games like Wolfenstein, get games like The Witcher 3. That modern architecture, along with the actual huge sales push, which what they said as a AAA driver, which the Nintendo Switch was. A lot of companies put AAA games out on there, and those AAA games did incredibly well. For example, like a Skyrim and like a Witcher, both of those sold million+ units. So I do think that, yeah, there's a lot of developers out there that are looking at the modern architecture and saying, okay, we can actually put our games on this. Now, the other thing that I would say is that Nintendo knows that that was one of the weakest elements of the Nintendo Switch. The fact that it was having problems later in its life and even somewhat early in its life, getting some of these games to run better. And I think they look at their own games as well. Something like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, that had issues too. So that was Koei Tecmo, but their IP overall. And I think that they want to actually eliminate things like that. The good news is that they are working with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA has incredible graphics technology with DLSS and other things that can help mitigate those problems. Nintendo and NVIDIA obviously working together to create something that's going to be better, a lot better than what we saw with the Nintendo Switch 1, which definitely can increase development cost and time and all that, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to get some of these big AAA games that the Nintendo Switch missed out on. Now, there still were some games that came out AAA wise, Mortal Kombat 1, but had disastrous results at first. So you need more overhead in order to dispel some of those issues that you can run into. Even stuff like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, even though that's more necessary, that's Game Freak not being able to take advantage of the hardware as well as they should, considering stuff like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming over, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but at the same time, I understand that more overhead with a more powerful system could help out with stuff like that. So I absolutely see the Nintendo Switch 2 also going in to help out with that. Now, another big thing here when it comes down to Nintendo Switch 2 and what third parties are going to do, they're seeing the overall sales. If you're looking at it, you have PC, you have the Xbox, you have PlayStation, you have Nintendo. They're seeing the sales, and the console market is, I would say, not shrinking a bit, but Microsoft isn't as strong as they used to be in the Xbox 360 range. all three systems are not always as prosperous. There's sometimes some down years, whether it's the Wii U one time, now it's the Xbox Series. PlayStation is pretty consistent, but what they're saying is that they're saying that we don't know what's going to happen next generation. As things get more expensive, as development gets more expensive, you're going to need a system like Nintendo. You're going to need a system that could potentially sell 100 million plus units. And if you can help it get there and sell a lot of copies in the process, that is going to be massive for the industry and for your own business going forward, considering what happened with the Nintendo Switch. Now, I discussed this before and how I would say, thought process. And there was an interesting article from DFC Intelligence that talked about how there wasn't really room for all three next generation. There was only room for one non-Nintendo system with the PlayStation 6, the Nintendo Switch 2, and the next Xbox. And I think that this could be, based off what this developer is saying, or this information, could be a little bit what they're talking about with the fact that it is going to be a driver and potential big growth for them, because there could be some problems overall. Now, I don't think that the Xbox is going to get phased out or anything like that, but I do feel that things are going to get tight based off of the pricing, based off the marketing, based off of what they do. There could be issues around the board. Now, if Nintendo just stays course with the Nintendo Switch 2, which is what it seems like they're doing, it's essentially a Nintendo Switch with probably a few more gimmicks thrown in there, better HD rumble, some new things potentially put into the Joy-Cons and other stuff to help out with game mechanics and stuff like that. Maybe some new types of sensations when you're playing with the joystick, Hall effect, all different type of stuff. Maybe they put some things in there overall, but it's going to be like the regular Nintendo Switch 1 with some new stuff and way more powerful. So if Nintendo can keep pace with their software as well and get everything up to snuff, they can have a lot of success. Maybe not Nintendo Switch 1, 150 million plus potential best-selling system of all time success, but still have a good amount of success and sell 100 million and be a consistent seller like how PlayStation is, where the worst selling main home console for PlayStation is the PlayStation 3 that had a plethora of mistakes and still sold around 90 million units, but the PS1, PS2, PS4, and PS5 all have sold or on track with the PS5 to sell 100 million units plus. So Nintendo could potentially have that here with the Nintendo Switch 2. And one of the big things that developers see, and I think that publishers see as well, is that the future is going to be a hybrid type of base. Essentially, in the future, you're going to have some type of portable component to whatever you are doing. I think that Nintendo is going to have a dock in the future that is the base system. Then the portable unit is pulled out of that. Now, from what we know right now, the dock is still going to operate very much like the dock on the Nintendo Switch 1. When you put the Nintendo Switch in there, it opens up more watts, so it will be able to run better on there. But I think in the future, there could be supplemental computing device. Not at this point, we're seeing that Microsoft, when it comes down to what they're doing, they want to have two units. They want to have a portable unit. We see what Sony did with the PlayStation Portal. There's been talk about an actual next PlayStation as well, and they're kind of seeing how things are. So a lot of these companies, along with all these different PC handhelds, they see that hybrid is the future. That is the way. People want to be able to have access to all their games at all point in a high quality. Nintendo just did it way before anyone else and kind of suffered a little bit with the ports and stuff, because back in 2015, 2016, 2017, the technology that we have now with NVIDIA and everything in DLSS was not what it was back then. Heck, the Tegra X1 was the best chip that you can get in 2015. So Nintendo had to pick something. But now fast forward all the way to 2020s, and it's significantly better in terms of technology. So yeah, I think that whatever Nintendo's doing with NVIDIA, it is going to be able to handle some of these big AAA games, and developers who truly want to grow something on the system will make games for it. I think the Nintendo Switch success took a lot of them by surprise. Some of them never really recovered to make much on the system, and I don't think they're going to set themselves up to potentially make the same mistake, especially if Microsoft sales are fading and what you're seeing with Game Pass and some of the cannibalization potentially of sales there, and just overall in the gaming industry. So I fully expect Nintendo Switch 2 to get some of these big games. There's been rumors about stuff like Elden Ring, potential other big franchises coming over. We just have to wait and see overall how they're going to do it. Now, I know for a fact that Nintendo definitely wants to make sure that these third-party developers can get some of these things on board. I've heard myself about a few different things with this Switch 2 system and what they're looking for, and I think that Nintendo's top developers are absolutely going to show you that there is quite a nice gap between what we saw with the Nintendo Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that there's going to be a plethora of different types of games that take advantage of what the system is going to do. You're going to see the AA exclusives or AA type of games like Rain Code. Now that's on PlayStation and Xbox, but it's a Nintendo Switch game. Stuff like Octopath Traveler, stuff like Bravely Default. I think companies are still going to make great stuff like that, and it's going to be way better for them, as a lot of those games are probably going to be able to run in 60 frames and not 30 like they had to run on the Nintendo Switch. So you're going to see developers benefit from that greatly, while not potentially increasing development costs significantly over what we got. So I think that Nintendo Switch is a hybrid, but it's going to be a hybrid for a lot of these Japanese developers, some of these indie developers, and these platforms to be able to get on a system that has that type of power, that you can go anywhere that you want, that isn't a PC. It's actually a real dedicated console. So I think that's going to be absolutely huge when it comes to a variety of different developers making games on the system, not just AAA. So we're gonna have to wait and see here. I'm looking forward to when Nintendo's going to announce this system. Once again, I do think that it's going to be January. We should get some type of reveal trailer and maybe even an announcement of a big presentation to really detail everything. I think that Nintendo has a set, solid plan already in place at this point. They're just getting ready to execute that. I can see them following very similar or close to what they did before, because the Nintendo Switch was such a huge success in terms of how they revealed it, how they showed it the second time, and how they launched it. There wasn't much of a time period between the first reveal, the big presentation, and the launch of the system, and I think they're going to do something very similar, if not closer, considering this isn't a wholly new concept and it's more of an evolution on what they're doing, with probably some surprises and other things thrown in there. But I think that the software, that's going to be the biggest thing. I feel that developers are really trying to fine-tune and get ready for the presentations. This is a large-scale operation when it comes to logistics and getting all the games for your first reveal trailer, for your presentation, for the launch lineup, for what they're going to do throughout the year. You've got to get everything in line and give people a clear path that this will be a supported system. Considering what happened with the Nintendo 3DS, what happened with the Wii U, you obviously don't want to repeat those mistakes of just saying, here's the system and almost no games for it, and we don't have really a timeline of what's going to be happening. People want to know if they're going to invest $400, $500 plus in video games and this system, online subscription services, that there's going to be a steady flow of games from Nintendo's big first party in order to get you excited about buying the system, in addition to sprinkling in some of that third party as well. So look for Nintendo to stay close to what they did like the Nintendo Switch, where they had a variety of big first-party games in 2017 sprinkled in with third-party games as well, with the bulk of them coming towards the end of the year, where we saw Resident Evil and Doom and Skyrim and a lot of those type of games. So I would expect something very similar from Nintendo, but once again, we're gonna have to wait and see overall, but it's gonna be happening pretty soon here, guys. So what do you guys think overall when it comes to what was said here about the Nintendo Switch 2 power and what it could be getting from AAA developers? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.